regular meeting of the Recreation and Parks Commission. Would everyone please stand and follow Lee Davis in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I should have muted Lee, sorry. Okay, thank you. Monse, roll call, please.
Sure. Chairperson Bob Moda.
Yes, I'm here.
Vice Chairperson Lee Davis.
Present.
Commissioner Dave Liu is absent. Commissioner Julie Stolnak. Is she on?
She is not.
No, she's not.
Okay, she's absent. And Commissioner Kelly Watson.
Present.
Thank you. Tonight we have some presentations, and Aracia will take the first two, I believe.
Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for the time this evening. This evening we have on recreation staff. Most of our recreation supervisors and I believe coordinators are here this evening. They will go through our summer presentation that we have every year. As you know, summer was quite a hustle and bustle, but this team came together and they really, really hit it out of the park this summer. So without me going on and on about a wonderful job that they did, I will just let them show you a presentation. Ryan has control of the floor, and then I believe each supervisor will be speaking this evening. So Ryan, you can get started.
No, absolutely. Thanks, everyone. It was a fun summer, and it was nice to get back to what we do and do what we do. Had some really good participation in some good events, and hope you all enjoy the presentation. I'm going to turn it over. I believe the first slide goes to Linnea.
Hello, everyone. So this summer, as you know, we only had 2 swimming pools open, but with continuing COVID protocols in place, staff worked hard to utilize the facilities and space we had to offer as much programming as possible while doing it safely. So as you can see from the presentation, we had 14 fitness classes a week with limited participation, but by the end of summer, we grew that into 3 different offerings: water aerobics, sweat, and aqua Zumba at 16 classes per week. We offered 7 days a week of swim lessons, mornings at Hilltops, afternoon at the Plunge. It started with tons of protocols, staff on deck, parents in the water with the kids, small numbers. But as the summer went on, we were able to go to normal ratios with the staff involvement. So that was exciting. We were able to squeeze in some miscellaneous programming. We got 1 camp in there and 1 certification class, which was good to get a little bit of normalcy, but not up to the normal that we'd love. And then some exciting in the beginning of summer, it's early summer, maybe spring would say, we had the Women's USA national team that won gold against the Hungarian national team that was bronze. We hosted the Junior Olympics over 8 days for water polo, both the boys and girls sessions. And we hosted, Alpha hosted a swim meet that was one of the first swim meets in all of LA County to have multiple swim teams at. So it was rigorous, getting all of our paperwork in, meeting with LA County officials, but we made it happen. And so that was pretty exciting. And then we'll go to the next slide. So even with these protocols in place, our attendance was huge this summer. So pretty exciting. With the uncertainty of how reservations and programs would go, sorry, somebody's blasting my window. We extended Hilltop hours from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. instead of the normal 11 to 3 p.m. So we had over 2,000 more participants at Hilltop for Rec Swim than we did in 2019, which was only about 3,400, I believe. The Aquatic Center had over 13,000 more drop-in participants than 2019, and that was with Rec Swim and Lap Swim combined. So you can kind of see it's broken out with Rec Swim and Lap Swim this year, but combined in 2019, we only had 8,744. So huge jump even with the pandemic, but exciting to see, and we can't wait to see what we continue to do. Next slide.
Thank you, Linnea. So adult sports got back up and running. Co-ed softball started shortly after the 4th of July. We had 29 teams, which is really, really good participation. Our recreation specialist, Tyler Fujii, was awesome in contacting teams, and he's really done a great job of maintaining contact with a lot of the teams that we work with. And so he kept them really well informed. So I think that's why we got such a good response when it came back. We have 6 teams per night out there, except for Wednesday nights. All the games this year were again played at the softball field. And tonight's actually a really, really busy night. So if the meeting wraps up early, you can head down. There's 4 games tonight for playoffs, and we're getting ready for the city championship, which will kick off the week of October 1. And Tyler is also working with the 7-on-7 co-ed league. We did push that back as some of the businesses on the other side of PCH haven't got back up and running, but we're looking to start that next week. And over to Sean.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for taking a look at this for us tonight. So this summer we ran, this will be our 3rd set of Pickleball League. So about every 4 to 6 weeks, we run about 20 to 30 teams per league session. Typically about 150 participants per league, 8 teams in a division. Been really successful, been enjoying kind of learning something different and running a different adult sport. Wednesday nights, we're running 3.0 and 3.5 mixed men's and women's leagues. And then Thursday mornings into the afternoon, we're running women's 3.0 to 3.5 leagues. The other thing that we added this summer that we've never done before, we've done 3 so far. They're called company round robins. It could be not for companies, but typically we get companies. They run a private, our contractors run a private round robin for them on a, whatever day, typically it's been a Saturday or Sunday. So we're excited about those. Those have been between like 40 and 70 participants in those. So we've done 3 of those. We've also added 3 contractor instructors that we've brought on over the last couple months. Connie Thrasher, that's also our ambassador, Scott Crandall, and then our newest one is Cade Erickson, and he's going to come on and do kind of our beginner pickleball and start our youth program. So that's exciting. And then we have round robins before the end of the year, so we're going to do a big one. We're deciding between kind of a turkey trot or a jingle fest. We haven't decided yet. And then our leagues are starting up in a couple weeks for the last one for the year before we start next year. So that's our pickleball programs, getting pretty big, and we're really excited about it.
Thank you, Sean. Over to Rachel.
Actually, it's going to go to Devin. Our summer camps looked a little bit different this year, but we had great attendance out there. The camps had so much fun with the games in the parks and the science experiments and fun. We had about 537 participants in over 9 weeks for Camp Cowabunga. They visited the beach. We were attendees at Hilltop. And for Tiny Tot, there's 9 weeks also with 129 participants. And those kids focused on crafts and they got to play out in the park also. They had a ton of fun.
And then this next slide here is continuing an overview of the camps. So there's a little bit more detail there in terms of the program participants and the program revenues. So we hosted almost just as many participants in our staff-led camps as we would have a normal year. The contracted camps were a bit of a smaller scale. However, we're super appreciative of the relationship we have with Champ Camp, who taught beach camp for us and skateboard camp. They filled all of these camps every week, and they tackled and handled a lot of unique situations this year with the changing mandates for camps, and then also the Hyperion spill, which have impacted some of these things, but we are all able to pivot and adapt and keep these programs running for everybody. And so that would be the overview for our camps. And then next slide, please. And then our next slide here, we wanted to highlight the Teen Advisory Committee and their first event they held this summer. They had a summer barbecue and movie night here in Recreation Park that took place in August. Our attendance, we had at one point 55 teens all at the event at once, which is a huge accomplishment to get that many teens at an event for us, especially our first one. But there was definitely more teens that were coming and going throughout the evening. So just because I was 55 at one point, I would say there was definitely more throughout the duration of the event. But the event, basically, we cooked, barbecued for them. We played lawn games, Bago, and Giant Connect 4. We screened a movie, Luca, and we also built a little fire and had s'mores. So it was a really great event, and it's just the first of more to come.
Thank you, Rachel. Over to Sean for Farmers Market.
All right. So, obviously we've been working through COVID and trying to get things back to kind of normal. So we've had an increase in our weekly attendance every week, up about 400 visitors per week. We've been bringing back some of our old vendors, and then we've been working really hard.
Sean?
Yes.
I believe your finger or hand is over your face. Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes.
Everybody wants to see my face, I'm sure. Sorry. So we're bringing back vendors that we've had. I mean, we're getting reached out to probably 20 vendors a week that want to come back or want to join us. So we're excited to work with them to get back. And we're also working with Sam Lee over at the library to kind of bring in some different plans, music and art and different things like that. So we're excited about that. So some new vendors and some old vendors, Shaka Tea, and then Completely Pickled is an older one from before. And then we also hosted this summer the 10 weeks, the Summer of Fun. One of the examples was a Bubble Palooza. So kind of exciting. Didn't quite get to bring back everything right by the end of summer, but in the next couple of months here, I think we're going to be getting more vendors and more events out there and more things to do. And then, like I said before, with Sam over at the library, we're working on kind of thinking of different things at the farmers market, not just the same vendors and the same things to sell out there. We're going to bring in some art and some different music vendors. So excited to see what it's going to look like over the next couple of months. And it's been great getting it back, kind of feeling normal out there.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean. Over to Joslyn Center. As most of you know, Joslyn Center was closed during most of the pandemic. We hosted the All Hazards Incident Management team and still are currently. We reopened on August 3rd for some limited hours, but we have some good news. Classes are back. Classes have been really full. People are very happy to be back in the building. Victoria Samia, one of our, very well-known instructors, is back with all of her array of fitness classes, and she's got minimum of 20 people in the classes. So that started off really, really well. We have two new Tai Chi instructors, Linda and Jerry. During the pandemic, our previous Tai Chi instructor moved to Arizona. So they're off with a new class and have quite a bit of returning students. And then our arthritis class started actually today. And she had a nice little group in there. So it's been really nice to get the Joslyn Center back. And then Senior Club had their first meeting last Tuesday in quite a while, and they are hoping to get some programming back. So hoping in the next few weeks to have a more rounded out schedule at the Joslyn. And that brings us to our summer events, which is always my favorite thing. And I really, really missed these last year, and it was really great to get concerts and 4th of July back. So we started concerts in the park. We started them a little late this year. Traditionally, they began on Father's Day, but we were still kind of in some of the changing health orders. So we made the decision to push them back to July 11th, which worked out really, really well for us. Our first group was Gypsy Petty, a Tom Petty and Stevie Nicks mix. We had CJ Simmons out there. He is a well-accomplished musician and has played overseas for the troops several times. The Reflex is a local group out of Orange County. The night before they played with us, they actually opened for Flock of Seagulls. So it was a really cool group to have out there, and they did a nice mix of the 80s. And then our final group was Yachty by Nature. I was a little disappointed to miss this one, but the turnout for all of our concerts was absolutely insane. I hope some of you were able to make it out because Library Park was, there wasn't a lot of visible grass this summer. We had a really, really good turnout, and I would say all 4 of the concerts have been 4 of the biggest concerts we've ever had. And we had our giveaways out there as always, beach balls, bubbles, gliders, more. We had some crafts going, and then Baby's Burgers came out to the event. Really thank them. They were able to make a couple. It was really difficult getting some of our food vendors back because during the pandemic, a lot of them shifted to doing catering and other pieces like that. So really cool to have them back in the house, and just really looking forward to more concerts. Oh, it doesn't look, there's the pictures. Just some pictures of the crowd. Like I was saying, the lower left picture was the first concert that we had, and there was just a sea of hula hoops, lots of people dancing. We tried some stuff we hadn't done before, like with the CJ Simmons group. We actually had a person come out and teach line dancing before the show began and during intermission. So it was really, really cool to see people out there line dancing, hula hooping, and just having a good time again. And then that brings us to 4th of July. I have to apologize. We are working off of my different laptop, and it's turning some of the pictures and cutting things off. But 4th of July this year, we had to do a little differently. Those 2 pictures that have turned themselves for some reason, that was Giant Connect 4 and football toss. Again, 4th of July was kind of a piece that we had to work on really quick and get that up and running. So we weren't able to pull off the daytime event like we have in the past. But we did do is we took some games out to Holly Park, Kansas Park, Library Park, Acacia, and Sycamore Park. We had bago, football toss, horseshoes, shuffleboard, just kind of an array of, family games, get out there and play. And those games were really used. During the day, I was able to make it out to a couple of the parks, and even one of the comments on our Instagram was from a family who was able to introduce their children to checkers. Their kids had never played checkers, and we had big blanket out there with oversized giant checkers. So it was really cool to see that we were able to provide something during the day for people to do. We opened the gates at 6 o'clock at night. We had about 41 people on both fields, which isn't too far off from what is normally our number out on those fields. And then we had a wonderful show. I can't thank him enough, Mr. Kim. He's been our firework tech the last few years, and he's an absolutely wonderful person. He's done fireworks all over the world, London, Beijing, Caesar Palace for some of their large events. And we're lucky that he retired in our area. And he had a wonderful idea this year to not play music during the finale, just all things considering. And I think it was a really nice touch that he had, and it came across really, really well. Also want to make sure to thank, I cannot believe all these pictures turned sideways. Sorry about that. But also want to thank our event sponsors, Bill Ruane. He was the title sponsor for all our events. And just, I always say this about Bill, he's at every event and just a wonderful person. He always enhances something. At our concerts this year, he had a pop shot basketball hoop, and I don't think there was less than 30 kids in that line at any given time. So Bill was our title sponsor for 4th of July summer concerts and the upcoming Halloween Frolic. Would also like to thank the Nickel Real Estate Group who sponsored our summer crafts at the events this year. And that brings us over to Sean for Go Fly Kite Day.
Devin again. We had our second annual Go
Devin,
Fly Kite Day. It's okay. We had our second annual Go Fly Kite Day. We brought out some food vendors that frequent our farmers market, like pupusas and crepes. We had some crafts and kites out there that actually kids could come and color themselves and decorate. They loved every aspect of decorating those kites and then seeing them up in the air. And then we also gave away some kites, as you can see in this bottom middle picture. We had given that kite away, and we had about 100 people in attendance, which is a little lower than last time, but it was raining on us all morning, so once the rain subsided, a lot of people came out, and they definitely got their kites very high in the sky this year. So I'm excited to see how it goes again next year.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Rachel, and everyone. And that is the last slide. So if there's any questions, please let us know.
Don't see any questions. Oh, Kelly's got one. I see her. I can see her. Go ahead, Kelly.
I have two quick questions. First one is about the summer camps. I heard they were super popular and you guys did such a fabulous job. I'm wondering if there's any plan to, because I know they sold out quickly, and I wonder if there's any plan to increase capacity next year.
Yeah, we definitely were limited on the contract camps this year. So I think next year, in just expanding our contract side up to what it would have been, we'll most likely take care of the capacity issues for next year. But we were actually able to up the capacity initially, so that was pretty good. But yeah, I think the contract camps are definitely where it was lacking. So that's the plan for next year.
Great. And then my second question is for Sean about the farmers market. He said that there were 20 vendors a week applying or something. I definitely feel like the biggest issue we have when I talk to people about the farmers market is that we just don't have enough vendors. People want to see a lot more vendors, a lot more selection. And so I'm wondering, you know, who's in line and what's kind of preventing them? Is it that they're not getting their health permits, or is there something that we can do to help facilitate? Because I know I personally went to the Torrance market and tried to recruit some new vendors, and we got the new gluten-free cookie lady and a few others, and the coffee guys. But I feel like there's huge potential there, and I know that this is a whole chicken and egg thing, but there are a lot more people who would be coming on a regular basis if we had more vendors.
Yeah, so we're going through a little bit of a staff transition right now. So we're working on it. The issue we kind of run into is a lot of the vendors that want to do it are a lot of coffee vendors, so we can't bring them in. So we're working on getting, I think the thing that's important is not to just bring them in to bring them in. I think we should be selective in what we're bringing in. So I'm making sure we're making decisions that are good, that make sense and fit into it. And it is definitely a goal of ours. And Kelly, I'll tell you that ARC is having me go to farmers markets and checking out other people as well to see what they're up to. But it's definitely our goal to fill up those last 10 or 15 spots. So in the next couple months, by the end of the year, we're hoping to have about 10 more vendors filled. It's just the groups that we've had so far that have reached out just don't really fit what we have. There's a lot of repeats, pickles, and different things like that. So we're working on it, and it's definitely something we'll get taken care of.
And also, Kelly, a big part of that, as Sean started out with saying, we have been in flux with some staffing. And so we do think we have someone that can take this on and really make it a project of their own. As we did before, we had probably about a year and a half ago, we had someone take farmers market on, and it was just very, very successful. So we think we have that again. And so we should be more stable with the farmers market, and you should see more things popping up out there.
Okay, thank you. And moving on to the next presentation, Arcia.
Muted myself again. I'm sure it's no secret to the commission that we've had some challenges with transportation. It's been actually a challenge since I've worked with the city, and I've been here almost 5 years. And with the oncoming of after the pandemic, we really fell flat as far as having drivers and being able to support the program. And that has definitely impacted the community, but most of all, it's impacted our seniors and over at Park Vista. So our seniors in the community and the Park Vista apartment complex. So Ryan and I last week held some community meetings to update the community as to where transportation is going now and what will be available to them. So we also thought that tonight, Ryan would be able to give the same presentation to the commission so that you can have some more information and ask any questions tonight that you may have. So Ryan will get started with this is the same presentation that we gave to the community during the community meetings. So Ryan will get started with the presentation, and please ask any questions and we'll try to clarify. Also know that this isn't a one size fits all solution to the problem. So we will discuss an RFP later on in the presentation. And without further ado, Ryan, take it away.
Oh, hello again. Thank you all again. You know, we had, like Garcia mentioned, and on another slide, we've just had some difficulties with hiring and retaining drivers, and really the pandemic highlighted that piece. So this first slide is just our daily operation and the amount of shuttles we use. Our big piece that's running 5 days a week is Dial-A-Ride. That's within city limits of El Segundo for short rides to the bank, haircuts, physical therapy, and pieces like that. Dr. Dial-A-Ride runs on Thursdays, and that's to doctors' offices and hospitals outside of El Segundo, so Marina Del Rey, Torrance, Manhattan Beach. We'll run that one shuttle outside of El Segundo city limits. The Lunchtime Shuttle, which operates 11:15 to 2, it runs a closed loop from the east side, more business section, and takes riders over into downtown El Segundo for lunch. Our seasonal beach shuttle, which operates during spring break week and summer, as well as Beach Striders, which is a program we run on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, taking riders down to El Porto Beach, and they walk down to Manhattan Beach Pier and back. And then on Saturdays, we run various shopping trips and trips as well. So that's kind of a little brief overview. And then the lower left is the number of shuttles we need. So we need to run anywhere from 4 to 5 without Beach Shuttle, and then we need to accommodate up to 7 shuttles when Beach Shuttle's running. Saturday's a little easier when we run 1, and then Saturday with Beach Shuttle is 3 drivers. And then the lower right is our current vehicles that we have. We are actually only operating with 4. Shuttle 72 just recently went down. So those are just the pieces that we operate within. The next slide is some of the issues that we've encountered. As I mentioned, staffing has just been a challenge with some of the shifting of the licensing location. The Culver City office stopped taking Class Bs, and it shifted down to an office by Raging Waters in San Dimas, which was quite a bit of a trek for people to get to, and is up to a 6-month wait. Luckily, the Culver City office is going to be getting, DMV office is going to start doing Class B, so hopefully that does increase in some of the time. But there's retaining drivers. We have very limited hours. Our part-time staff is limited to 960 hours, which is about 18 and a half hours a week. Many of these drivers with the Class B, they're looking for full-time. So we struggled putting a full staff together most times and having those 7 shuttles out there or 5 when required. Another piece within this is as I moved into Joslin Center, our shuttles are quite large, and very often we're doing one-on-one trips. I kind of joke that the streets in El Segundo keep getting smaller and smaller, and maneuvering those shuttles through the streets is a bit difficult at times for our drivers, and they're not the most fuel efficient. And then just service evaluation. As you know, Kelly and Lee are on the Transportation Subcommittee, and we've been discussing some of the other request changes when it comes to youth teams, high school sports. There's the plaza in El Segundo has been built in the last handful of years since we've really been running, and we have difficulties accommodating that. So that kind of brings us to Metro Micro. So since we aren't able to offer our services right now, as we've lost our drivers during the pandemic, we researched one which kind of runs in our backyard, which is Metro Micro. This service is for people who are definitely more mobile. It is not a door-to-door service like our Dial-A-Ride. There are select pickup and drop-off select pickup locations. They will drop you off wherever you need to, and it costs $1 per ride. So, for example, on Grand and Eucalyptus is a pickup location. right there on the corner. So someone could walk to that location, schedule a ride for $1, get taken to Ralph's, and there's another pickup location at Ralph's, and schedule a ride and then get dropped off back at that Grand and Eucalyptus. So this is definitely for people who are more mobile, and it will cover beach services as well. There's a drop off by the beach. Our beach shuttle cost was $1, so this is a very similar service to our beach shuttle. And then you just directly book with Metro. You can either call 323-GO-METRO, or they have an app that you are able to download for rides. And then the map on the right is our service area. They actually expand into Westchester and Playa del Rey, which is really nice because there are medical offices in that Westchester area, and services some of the areas we're unable to. So there's a bit of a nice piece with Metro Micro. So this is the Go Monrovia project. Back in 2000, shortly after they actually began this in 2018, Ericy and I went to a meeting over at the South Bay COG to meet with other transportation professionals and view Monrovia's presentation on their ride sharing program. Monrovia was encountering a lot of the same issues that we are, and it's actually kind of becoming a universal issue for a lot of city transportation programs. They're having difficulty retaining drivers, hiring drivers, and several other cities are actually looking to go to this program. So it's very nice that Monrovia has been transparent with how they set everything up. So Monrovia revamped their entire transportation program, switching over to a ride partnership with Lyft. They have quite a bit of people who come into their city for work, and we're looking for ways to reduce some of the lunchtime traffic and provide better services for their residents. So they ended up partnering with Lyft, and we will be having a similar partnership with them. El Segundo residents and riders will be able to do door-to-door service. So this is a really good service if you aren't able to get to stops like with Go Metro or Metro Micro, sorry. But Lyft will be door-to-door. Rides with Lyft can be booked through the app on your smartphone or with Jocelyn's staff. I'll talk about booking through Jocelyn's staff later. And like I said, it's door-to-door. And rides can be scheduled up for 7 days in advance. So if people have doctor's appointment, haircut appointment, you are able to book out, which is really, really nice feature. Or if they wake up and decide, I want to go get lunch today with some friends, they're able to do that, which previously Dial Ride might not have been able to accommodate just because we were working with one shuttle and people may have booked out those times. So this really allows us to service more people, especially on demand. They can have up to 3 passengers per ride, and people receive text updates when their driver is near. So you get, hey, your driver's headed towards you, your driver's close, your driver's here, come on outside. And then below is a link to estimate what ride fare will be. The Monrovia model is $2 to $4 per ride, and so we're still kind of finalizing some of those final costs because we're in the last stages of the contract right now. And how to book with Lyft.
Can you clarify for the group the age difference or what can be accepted on Metro Micro and what cannot be accepted on Lyft as far as being over 18?
Yes, so Metro Micro, why I mentioned Beach Shuttle, is that falls just in with our program as well. So it takes kids who are 13 and up, which is what our Beach Shuttle does, and Lyft does not do that. To book a Lyft, you have to be over the age of 18. So this is how you would book within Lyft. There's the Concierge Service, which I'll discuss a little later. You just go into your smartphone's app store, look for Lyft, download that account. Like Garcia mentioned, you must be 18 years or older to set up a Lyft account. And minors must be accompanied by someone 18 years and older. Minors are not allowed to ride by themselves. So you just go within, set up your Lyft account, enter, once you have your Lyft account, you would go ahead and book your ride, and there will be a promotional code. So in Monrovia, their code is Go Monrovia. That code is geofence. So it only works within their city limits. So for example, here in El Segundo, we will get a promotional code. I'll be sure to share with everyone when that's there. If you are in El Segundo city limits, that code will work. If you are over in Manhattan Beach and try and use Go El Segundo, that code will be denied, and the rider will have to pay full price. Another nice piece within the geofencing that we're kind of working through with some of the doctor rides is, for example, Monrovia doesn't have a Target. The closest Target is in a neighboring city. So they were able to add that Target into the geofence. So the riders, that was a popular destination for people who live in Monrovia. So they were able to incorporate that within their program, and there's no additional cost for leaving their city boundaries. So that's a piece we're kind of working with right now with Lyft. Another nice piece is Lyft has really taken off with wheelchair accessibility. They call it a wave vehicle. You can go into your own personal profile. So if you need this every single time, you can set a wave request so that every ride you get will be a wheelchair access vehicle. Or if you just need it one time, you're able to make a special request with that. Yeah, I think I covered that last piece within there. So yes, the promo code will be a very big piece to this. And then that brings us to our concierge service. I know there's a lot of people within town that still haven't jumped on with smartphones or do not have internet access. And that's where we are still here to help with the concierge service. So the concierge service allows us to book rides for people who do not have smartphones or internet access. They would call into the Joslin. So the only step that's required is they have to come down and set up an account with us. We would do it through the concierge service, and they have to have a credit card on file or a debit card. So once they have that set up, they can just call Joslin, give us their pickup location and their drop-off location, and we will be able to book them rides that same way. We're able to select any ADA needs, and then the rider will actually then get the text messages. So even though we're booking it, if they still have a cell phone that receives text messages, they will get those same updates with your driver's on the way, your driver's close, and your driver's outside. And then our future plans. So we are also working on the RFP, as Ericia mentioned, for any interested transportation providers. It will cover all of our transportation needs, Dr. Dial-A-Ride, trips, all the pieces I mentioned on the first slide. And then Lee and Kelly are on the transportation subcommittee, and we're just reviewing future needs, current needs, and just trying to come up with the best possible plan and recommendations for future implementation, because transportation and mobility is always going to be a need, and we want to make sure we're making the best decisions. And that brings us to any questions.
Need to see everybody. Let's see here. Lee or Kelly, any questions? Go ahead. And I'm seeing none. Very good presentation, Ryan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will move to the next presentation, and Melissa's going to take those. You're muted.
Thank you. The next presentation noted on the agenda is a proposal from the El Segundo Little League regarding a scoreboard for Brett Field, and our recommendation is to postpone that presentation to allow for additional review and input from city staff. So that item will come back for your consideration at a later meeting. Should we move on to the next one then, Chair Moda?
Please.
Okay, thank you. So the City Council did revise their top priorities in the citywide strategic plan earlier this year, and they added a new goal, which is develop a plan to ensure long-term viability of recreation programming, especially at the Aquatic Center and at the plunge facilities. So the Community Services Department has partnered with the city's finance department to begin making progress on this goal by conducting an in-depth aquatics fee study. So the city's Chief Financial Officer, Joe Lilio, is here tonight. He's going to provide an overview of the study as well as talk about the next steps in the process. So Joe, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. Good evening, commissioners, city staff. I'll try to make this as brief as possible. So this is going to be a very high overview of the fee study. It is still in progress. Okay, Melissa, can everyone see my screen? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so before I get into the background, back in June of this year, City Council had instructed city staff to look further into the aquatic fees, so all the aquatic programs that the city offers. That's something that staff and the city has not looked into in quite some time. So that's was what we were tasked with, and that is currently in progress. But I wanted to give a little bit of background. So back in 2017, I did conduct what's called a full cost allocation comprehensive citywide fee study. That had not been done in probably 10 to 12 years prior to that. So that was a good start, and it really looked at all the services and fees citywide that the city does offer, and looked at the costs associated with that, both direct and indirect costs, and then all the revenues and fees associated with those services. And then we presented to City Council as far as each fee, what was the cost recovery, what was the subsidy level, and then what is Council's policy as far as do we want to achieve full cost recovery on some of the services, or does the city want to subsidize certain fees, and particularly anything that's related to aquatics or recreation is usually heavily subsidized. Okay. So we did that study in 2017. City Council approved the master fee schedule in 2018, and they directed staff to return each year to apply an inflationary cost of inflation to each of these fees across the board. So we've been doing that since 2019 and forward. And we did bring to City Council back in May the annual increase of 2.2%, which is based off the LA, Long Beach, Anaheim Consumer Price Index for all urban areas. And that council did approve that, and that will be implemented in October. That does not include the aquatic and recreation programs, but all the other fees and services that the city does provide. And just a little bit of background about services, fee services. These are customers identifiable, and the service is measurable. So it doesn't necessarily benefit the entire group. For instance, if you call 911, the police arrive at your home, you're not charged a service fee for that. That's included in the general taxes that the city provides services for the greater benefit of the community. However, if there's a benefit to a particular individual or a particular group, that's what we consider a fee service. And there's plenty of examples like that, but aquatics and recreation programming does fall in this category. Okay, and then subsidy levels may be based on social, safety, or welfare reasons. So the expectations of the current aquatic fee study, again, council did ask us to do this back in June. We're probably 85% complete with the study. Within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should have a draft of the completed study. So this does include all aquatic related programs offered at the Aquatic Center, plunge, hilltop pools, all those programs will be reviewed. Each program will be evaluated at a granular level, and a per hour or per lane cost to the city will be determined. And on the revenue side, any fees or charges for services will be determined. And that will help us figure out what exactly the recovery rate, cost recovery rate for each program is and what the subsidy is. And to give you an example, this is just for illustrative purposes only. This has nothing to do with the current study that is underway. This was a study that was done back in 2017, 2018. And you can see in front of you here, we have adult sports. Looking at the top, adult sports, the cost to the city was about 124,000, revenues of 22,000. So we had a cost recovery. You look at the far right top corner there, 17, almost 18% cost recovery, which means an 82% subsidy. And this is what we're doing right now with all the aquatic fees, but broken down by program. And so we'll have something similar to this that we'll be able to present to City Council in probably sometime in October or November, and possibly come back to the Recreation and Parks Commission in their October meeting if that's something that the commission would like. So expectations continued. We will also be looking at a listing of all South Bay cities and other nearby cities' aquatic fees, and will be provided to El Segundo, and just to see where we fall as far as what the market rate is. We'll be looking at resident, non-resident, nonprofit, and for-profit business fee structure. See if that makes sense or not. And then part of the policy discussion will also be to remain within the market range of our neighboring cities. So we'll have a listing, I don't know, it's probably about 15 to 20 cities, and see where El Segundo falls currently within that market rate. So right now we do have a policy discussion on the cost recovery, subsidy levels, and market price norms scheduled to take place with the City Council on October 19th. However, this can be postponed until November 2nd in order to come back before the Recreation and Parks Commission and solicit some feedback and input on the where we fall at right now with the current fee structure and what the proposed fees could be. So if that does happen, then we would push the council meeting out to November 2nd. And if that did happen, here's the schedule. The policy discussion with City Council on November 2nd. Public hearing, so we'll take council's feedback from that November 2nd meeting, incorporate it into the public hearing, which would take place on November 16th. And then any new fees would go into effect January 1st of 2022. And the proposal would be that a CPI inflator is applied to all aquatic fees moving forward. So the city has never done this before. So what the city has done is periodically look at the fees, and that could be periodically, could mean every 5 years, every 10 years, every 15 years. And those fees with recreation and parks and aquatics have pretty much remained stagnant. They have not increased by a CPI factor. That would be our proposal moving forward once we have the new fee set up. So again, this is just for the aquatic, all the aquatic programming. Another comprehensive fee study will be kicked off on all recreation programming beginning in the new year, so in early 2022. And that should wrap up sometime probably in April of 2022. So I am open to any questions you may have, and I would like maybe some direction from the commission if you would like finance to come back to you in your October meeting with the draft study on the aquatic fees.
Yeah, Joe, Lee Davis.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, as far as it never being done before, I mean, we actually had a consultant come in and try to talk to us about our stuff, and he did do a semi-comprehensive study on the plunge. And, you know, he had given us our numbers, and it was pretty surprising numbers, you know, similar to the numbers that you showed up in there in the one budget. But as you go through this, are we looking for total cost recovery? Or are we just looking to make sure that we're competitively priced? Or what's the onset of the, you know, the premise for doing something that's never been done before here with this study?
Sure. Absolutely. And Melissa, for some reason, I'm not finding the stop share screen. So I don't know if whoever's running the meeting has the ability to kind of kick that off or not, but unless it already did happen. Okay. So
hey, Joe, Montse, are you able to stop Joe's screen? Are you?
I'm not quite sure. I'm trying.
Okay, thank you. And if not, Joe, it should be at the bottom of your screen.
yeah, I did something kind of, I don't know what I did with this, and it's showing weird. So I see the whole screen, but I only see the names and the boxes of the participants and nothing else. But anyways,
Sure, please.
yeah. So Lee, to address your question, typically recreation programming, aquatic programming is not full cost recovery. I don't know any city that does that. And it's usually, you want to have a subsidy for, could be social reasons, reasons to promote healthy lifestyles, youth sports. So there's a whole host of reasons, that policy reasons that city council would want to do that. But occasionally there are cities that may charge full cost recovery for certain adult recreation programs. Again, that's a policy decision that city council would have to make. But so currently we are not doing that, and that is not the intent here to get 100% cost recovery, but it's to look at where we are right now. Are we 3% cost recovery, 5%? I don't know. The study will show that once it's done here in a couple of weeks. And where do we compare to our neighboring cities? And is there an appetite to adjust the fees? So that's really the crux of this study.
Yeah, it sounds real familiar to everything I've heard over the last decade. We had always set the goal as being total cost recovery, but the understanding was that without successful programs and everything else that had built up time and tradition, it was going to be a long time in coming. So thank you very much. I'm real interested to see how the numbers are working out, and I'm hoping that we're able to compare it to a timeline from like 2017 where it looked like you had something, and so on, so that we know which direction we're going. But thank you.
Yes, yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Any other questions?
I can't see, Kelly, if you're trying to. Okay. I definitely would like to see this come back for our next meeting on the 20th of next month. So if the rest of commission is agreeing, let me know.
Lee Davis, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bob.
Okay. Joe, thank you very much. I think you got your answer.
Okay, great, thank you. So we'll come back on October 20th. I'll see if we get the consultant to also join us, and look forward to having a discussion with you on the 20th.
I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you for all the hard work.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Real quick, Joseph.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned a consultant. By chance, who are you getting as a consulting firm for this?
So my office did a comprehensive RFP process, this was several years ago, to do what's called a cost allocation plan. And that looks at what's called the fully burdened rates for staff members. So it takes both the direct, indirect costs, and all soft costs, and it comes up with an hourly rate for an employee, and then that's then fed into the cost of providing services and fees to the city. And so we did a comprehensive RFP process, and the firm that won that the RFP is called Revenue and Cost Specialists, and they have a great presence in the municipal space within California, and in all. In fact, several of their clients, they've had either residents or particular groups try to challenge their studies in court, and they have never lost in court yet because of the comprehensiveness of.
Yeah, no problem. I just wonder if there's an aquatics firm that actually looks
at
aquatics, or if it's more of an accounting firm that does more, forensic accounting.
Correct. Yeah, the number crunchers.
I didn't need that detail, but I appreciate it. Yes. I really didn't need that detail, but I appreciate it.
And if I could just add, I want to recognize Linnea Palmer and her staff, because they've been working really closely with the consultants and giving very detailed information about cost and revenue and usage that has been used to calculate the data. So thank you to Linnea.
Yeah, Melissa, your staff has been excellent to work with. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anything additional on that report? I think we're done there with that. Thank you very much. Okay. Public communications related to commission business only, and that is within the subject matter under the jurisdiction of the commission. Is there anyone? That looks like Pat Stanford.
Yes, please. Hi, commissioners, staff. I'd like to say thank you very much. My name is Patrick Stanford. I am the Assistant Regional Commissioner for AYSO Region 92, and I'm here to talk just very briefly about soccer and what's going on with soccer here in El Segundo. This last Saturday, despite the county's best efforts to change the rules on us on an almost weekly, if not more, and we have.
Am I losing him? Okay, Pat, we're having a tough time getting here. We're losing you.
Yes, unfortunately, my microphone is cutting out. I apologize. So we had kids on the fields on Saturday at Richmond, at Brett, and at campus, and also on Sundays again at campus. Would just like to say thank you very much to Recreation and Parks and the staff. The staff that I specifically work most closely with is Sean and Christopher, and they have been, as always, wonderful to work with to help us get everything scheduled, to help us and accommodate us in terms of our trying to provide the best information that we can to them that they've requested it as we go forward. As of last Saturday, we had 852 kids on the field on 97 different teams in 19 different divisions of play, ranging from schoolyard, which is a 4-year-olds, all the way up to our U19 boys and girls that are playing. It's great to be part of El Segundo for AYSO, to be able to cooperate with everything. Thank you to the staff. Thank you to everybody that's going on. And even thank you to Commissioner Watson, who we grabbed to come back out and help yet again AYSO survive the opening weekend and help with our both refereeing and our schoolyard program for our youngest players. So thank you all very much. AYSO is here, we're back, and we are going to be here for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Any other public communications? Monse, did you have any written or anything like that?
I do not.
Okay. With that, we will close public communications and move to the consent calendar. Approval of the minutes of the Recreation and Parks Commission meeting of August 18th, 2021. Kelly.
Lee Davis moved to approve the calendar. The agenda.
The minutes.
And I second.
The minutes. Had it right.
Do I have it, Kelly? Second?
Yes, I second.
Okay, Monse, can you do a voice vote, please?
Yes. Chairperson Batmoda.
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Davis.
Approved. Yes.
And Commissioner Kelly Watson.
Yes.
That is 3-0. Thank you. Okay. There is no unfinished business. There's no new business. Reports of subcommittees. And the first one up is Aquatic Subcommittee.
Well, I think we saw from the presentations that there's been a lot going on in aquatics. I know staff has been working on a number of things, including the plunge, and they're finalizing, I guess, some changes. And as we are officially notified on that, we will have some information on that. So, Kelly, if you want to add anything, I don't know, but that's what we got so far. I look forward to the study, the fee study. I think that'll be real interesting.
Okay, thank you. Kelly, I am looking. You said no. Okay. Transportation Subcommittee, that would be Kelly.
Yes, and as you saw by Ryan's very thorough presentation, we have surfaced a number of options, and I just wanted everyone to know that we're not stopping our, search for great transportation options. And even with the RFP, we're continuing to, put a lot of creative brainstorm ideas on the table, and hopefully we will meet all of the community needs one way or another through all these different options.
Okay, thank you. And Youth Sports Council. That's Dave Lubes. He's not here tonight. I will fill in, and Melissa was there also. So if I missed something, Melissa, please jump in. We had one of our 2 yearly meetings. Sean Green handled the meeting. We went over youth sports organization voting rights. Sean requested from all the organizations that are in have fall sports, their rosters, their insurance, their field requests. He needed all that turned in. There was a spring and summer league update, and then we were looking for fall field allocation. Actually, Sean is looking for that, and everyone works really well together. And Sean said it a couple of times. All of the leagues work together, AYSO, lacrosse, youth football. And we had one organization, youth football, was interested in being added to the Youth Sports Council, and we had a little discussion there. And then a good portion of the discussion was related to the new LA County, I want to say guidelines, rules that came out with weekly testing. And it's an ever-changing mess. I don't know if there's any other way to put it, but it sounds like AYSO has pulled it off, and congratulations to them. And with that was pretty much our meeting. Melissa, did I miss anything?
No, that's a great recap. I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we will now go to staff reports. Aracia.
I apologize, everyone. My computer laptop froze, and so now all you have is my voice. Can you hear me? Fine.
Absolutely.
I do not have anything additional. I just wanted to really take the time and say a thank you to this recreation team. They work really hard, and they try to come up with the best solutions for the community. And I appreciate them. I've worked with a lot of teams, recreation teams, and this team has shown me that they can be resilient under pressure. So while they're all on the call, I really appreciate you. You don't know how much I do. You really make us all shine, and just happy to work with you. And that's really all I have to say this evening, unless anyone has any questions regarding my report.
I'm seeing none. Aracia, thank you. And Christopher, you're up next.
Thank you. Good evening, Commission. You have my report. I've got a couple of updates. We planted a number of trees at Rhett Park this last few weeks, along with installing trees at Camp Eucalyptus, working with the Girl Scout groups. And we also did irrigation as well, wood chips, and we're looking to bring in some decomposed granite there to kind of top off the facility there. We've got West Coast Arborists in town this week, and their first order of business is to update our tree inventory. It hasn't been done in a number of years. We were looking to do that last year and ran out of funds, and with the current new budget we have, we're looking at updating that. And there's been numerous changes along the way, so it's a good thing to do every now and then. One item I wanted to bring to your attention is the Southern California Edison lease renewal for the Washington parks. Independence Park, Constitution, Washington Park, and Freedom Parks. the renewal date is the end of this month, and due to litigation and fires and so forth, they are doing a more stricter interpretation of their tree policy. And that consists of trees within 20 feet or 25 feet of a wooden power pole, 50 feet from a tower. They also have some height restrictions as well. We met with the group last week to kind of get a clarification on it. And this week, we went through some numbers of how many trees we're looking at having to remove. And we're in about the 39 to 40 range of trees. And so Elias has gotten involved. I think Joe's gotten involved as well. And we're kind of waiting for a final interpretation of their tree policy. I know Elias is speaking with them. We had conversations today to try to get it finalized, but it looks like we may have to take out some trees in the areas, do some trimming as well. So I just wanted to make you kind of aware of that situation. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Look, Lee, nothing, and Kelly, no. Kelly, go ahead, please.
Hey, so Christopher, that's, obviously going to be distressing news for a lot of residents. Are there places that we can replant the trees that do meet their requirements so that we can sort of do a one-to-one swap at least if we have to take stuff out, or do those requirements pretty much limit us in terms of there's just no space at those parks that aren't 25 feet away from a tower?
The requirements are very limited. I mean, there's a lot of open space out there, and sure, you can find areas that are away from towers and poles, but they have a height limit that just is very restrictive. And that height is 15 feet, which, that's really not a tree, something that short. We're hoping to be able to do some creative pruning and trimming of existing trees that are out of the radius range of poles and so forth. But I'm afraid of some trees that are not going to be able to take that type of pruning because they're already 25, 30 feet tall. So it is very restrictive. And I asked the representative last week, is this a new policy? And he said no, it's always been in place, but due to the fires and litigation and so forth, they've been instructed to do stricter interpretation of their policy.
Any way we could release the Kraken of El Segundo in terms of residents on them?
Well, sure. But I know Elias is working on it. I know he's been having some conversations, and we'll keep you posted.
Anything else? Christopher, thank you. And director's report, Melissa.
Sure, just a huge thank you to the recreation team from me as well, including Aricia for her leadership and for all of Monte's contributions. Rachel, Linnea, Ryan, and Sean doing an amazing job, as do their teams. It's a huge team effort. All of the lifeguards, all of the day camp counselors that I saw working with the kids this summer. It's just a fabulous group that just their impact is huge, as you know, and especially during these challenging times. They deserve a lot of credit. The only item that I wanted to add beyond the written report tonight is a reminder that the needs assessment survey, the follow-up survey, closes this evening. So you will be, in addition to the discussion about the aquatics fees that we'll bring back in October 20th, you'll also be receiving a pretty detailed report of the findings for the needs assessment, as well as some related recommendations at that October meeting. So please plan for a little bit longer meeting than normal in October. But that is all that I have for you tonight, unless you have any questions for me.
I'm seeing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we're going to move to commissioner comments. Commissioner Watson.
Yeah, I just, Melissa took the words out of my mouth. I wanted to echo the thanks to Melissa and her team and Aricia and all of the folks. You know, it is great to see such a big effort to really bring El Segundo back after, you know, the COVID situation. And I know the residents appreciate it, and you can tell by just the participation rate. So thank you. You've done a fabulous job.
Okay, thank you. And Vice Chairperson Davis, Lee.
Yeah, first I want to apologize for not making the last meeting. I was out of town. I did go back and look at the actual meeting, and guess I missed a little bit on the restrooms, and my kind of throwing my 2 cents on that. You know, I think there was a lot to be said for if you're going to do one piece of construction and you have slated to do the entire area, that you should have a combined effort on it and make sure we don't do, you know, kind of a hasty job on the restrooms and find out in the overall park that we needed to do a whole bunch of other stuff. So I would certainly look at those as try to make sure it blends in and works with everything in the park as we, you know, look to renovate a number of those buildings that we all know that need help. And the other one is just the obvious, with COVID and everything, being able to put the parks and the programs and the camps and everything together literally immediately, all your staff, all the recreation team, as Aricia called it, I think is 100% above and beyond. And I think everyone's done just a phenomenal job to be able to react so quickly from so many changing rules and guidelines that I couldn't imagine having to organize and comply with the rules like they've done. So congratulations to the team. A lot of my good friends from Redondo and Hermosa said, how are you able to do so much? Because they knew that we were having stuff and they really didn't see a lot in their community. So good job, well done. We're looked at as being one of the better departments, I would say, in the area. So very nicely done. And that's all I have.
Lee, thank you. And yes, I'm just going to echo everything. Staff, your dedication to all of us is amazing. Thank you, all of you. And with that, we will adjourn to the next regular meeting on Wednesday, October 20th at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.